Hello, the Tri-City Police Chaplains need your help in finding more police chaplains to serve in the Papillion, La Vista, and Ralston area. If you know someone you feel would make a good chaplain, i.e. your pastor, please let Deputy Chief Brian Hansen, Captain Jeremy Kinsey, or myself, Sergeant Kurt McClannon, know about that, and we will try to get them connected. So let's talk about what the qualifications for a police chaplain are. A police chaplain must demonstrate compassion and understanding of others and be tactful and considerate to all, regardless of their age, creed, race, beliefs, any of those sorts of things. Secondarily, they must be licensed or ordained minister, priest, or rabbi in good standing and an active participant in their denomination, parish, or synagogue. So they need to have one of those things. And nope, that was actually my graduate certificate, which is the next point. They must be a graduate from a college or seminary, which is accredited by a regional or national accreditation association. So if you're a pastor of a church that serves people in Papillion, La Vista, or Ralston, that's who we're talking about, and we need you. The Tri-City Police Chaplains are a volunteer on-call chaplain association for calls for service in Papillion and La Vista and Ralston. That's the only place you'd be answering calls for service or calls that originated in that area. So you might be asking, what does it look like to be a police chaplain? What sorts of things do you do? Well, it looks like being called out to the scene of an incident, most often where someone has died, and you're working with the surviving family members on behalf of the police present to console and help them think through the next steps. Oftentimes, these deaths have caught them off guard and they have not been thinking about what they would do or where they would bury someone or who they would want to talk to about it. And so you help them through those steps and help them think in a time when their brain is overwhelmed and having a lot of difficulty coming up with answers. So you can help get them connected with family, friends, coworkers, things like that. It can become easy to get removed from real contacts as a pastor. Having been a former pastor, I remember that I had lots of contacts with parishioners at my church, but very few contacts with people that lived in our city and that did not come to our church. And that's one thing that chaplaincy can offer you. This is not a paid position, it is a volunteer position, but as a chaplain, you are going to be connected to people during the worst times of their lives. And that's going to give you experiences and stories that are going to be able to help you as a pastor, as someone who's having to write new content for sermons and things each week. It's going to be very valuable. Not to mention the fact that it's just valuable to serve and help people. And you'll get to do that through chaplaincy in some very interesting ways. I was a chaplain when I served as a pastor. I was a deputy sheriff first, then went to seminary, then was a pastor for 3 years. And as a police chaplain, I got called out to a scene one night where a family had been driving through the town that I was pastoring in. And they had been involved in a car accident. The car had rolled, and one of the two boys that were in their back seat was thrown from the car and died. So very sad scene. And my presence there wasn't to try to help to try to make sense of it or tie it all up with a bow, right after the thing had happened, but it was to just try to be a calming influence for them and try to help them think who we wanted to talk to, who they needed to inform about this, since we were not in the town that they lived in. How were they going to get home because their car had been destroyed, and thinking about funeral homes back in their city. And then we and law enforcement helped make all the arrangements for getting the bodies moved and those sorts of things. So that's an example of a call that I was on that's similar to what you would expect in chaplaincy. So the dividends that you'll receive as a pastor serving as a chaplain are going to be enormous. They're hard to even explain until you experience them yourself. If you have the question, is there pay involved? There is not. Unfortunately, this is a volunteer position. You would be on call, but right now we have 2 chaplains, so they share on call throughout the year. They're only on call for half the time. The more chaplains we get, then the more that call load can be spread out, and the less someone would have to be on call. Is there training to be a chaplain might be another question that you would have. And there's annual training for that. And you will be sent to that and prepared for the job that lies ahead for you. You'll also have other chaplains here that to come alongside you to help you as well. So after all that, if you know of someone, if you know of a pastor, it doesn't have to be a lead pastor. It could be a music pastor, a counseling pastor, a youth pastor, anybody who's ordained at your church who you think would be valuable or good at this or would enjoy it and would want to serve their community in this way. That's people that we would want to try to get connected with so that we could talk to them about considering chaplaincy. If you know someone like that, please send their name and information to us using the email address policechaplains@papillion.org, PAPILLION.org. And thank you for listening.